This video is sponsored by Yahaha. Now this is a brand new user-generated content creation platform for 3D multiplayer interactive experiences. With Yahaha, anyone can create and publish their virtual experiences. There is no coding creating experience needed. You can build the creation without any coding experience or server knowledge. Simply use the components and smart assets in Yahaha Studio to make your dream games. And once you make those dream games, you want to be able to share them with friends, right? Well, you're in luck because Yahaha has a social and fun multiplayer mode. That's right, Yahaha supports multiplayer, playing one game simultaneously in one template or one game. Players can literally invite friends and hang out with them. They can also meet new friends at any time in countless immersive 3D spaces and like-minded communities. You can have so many hours of fun playing Yahaha with all the different things that have been created by the talented creators. So make sure to check out Yahaha's early access now for free using the link in the description below, and you can start crafting your dream game. Alright, so we have once again gotten to the point where Premydaremy has covered some news and given a very legitimate opinion with structured points, but people seem to lack comprehension and thus turn it into a situation where Premydaremy must be a hater of Sonic Frontiers and is the villain. So now I have to come and explain myself even further because people didn't get what I was trying to say in the previous video, so they started twisting my words. So now I'm going to spell out everything for you guys so you get exactly what I was saying, and people will probably still complain. So we're going to get into all this right now. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure to subscribe. We are trying to hit 100,000 subscribers and hopefully 10,000 subscribers before Sonic Frontiers comes out. So what am I talking about today? I made a video previously talking about Kronos Island, and yes, someone was able to beat the entirety of the first island, aka Super Sonic, facing off against the final boss. There was leaked footage of it. I'm not going to show it here because the Sega Shinobis are on fire, but they beat the whole first island. You can watch that video for that original news, but let me just get one thing out of the way because people were twisting this in the comment section and on Twitter. There was no glitch or hack used to beat this island. They beat the island in under 35 minutes without any form of glitch or hack. All they did was figure out the quickest way to do it with a little bit of practice on the demo, and that's how they were able to do it. It was considered more of a casual run. It was not some super intense speed run. Even Beat said if you're at very least decent, you'd be able to finish the island in like an hour. So I said, based on there being 5 islands in the game confirmed, this game could be beaten in way less than the 20 to 30 hours that Kishimoto was suggesting. And then somehow this turned into some debate about, well, it's boring to play the game without doing additional shit, and who wants to play it that way, not fun, and well, Breath of the Wild allows you to go to Ganon straight after the tutorial. I don't know how you lot managed to twist this one, okay? I'm actually surprised at how much Hopian Copian was in that comment section, okay? This is not about the best way to play the game. It's an open world game. Play it however the fuck you want. This is coming from someone who never plays open world games fast. I always take my time. I like getting lost in a world. Not lost as in not knowing where to go for the next main mission, but more so lost in the sense of just it's a big world and there's so many places I can go if I choose to. Ezio Trilogy, never rush through it. Never just rush from main mission to main mission. I be doing side shit all the time, okay? I was just addressing a claim made by the director of the game, right? Let me break it down for you. Sonic Frontiers will not be Breath of the Wild length. Get that into your tympanic membrane. Now, why is that the case? Let's break it down. Let's address the first point. Well, in Breath of the Wild, you can go straight to Ganon, but the game is still long. Yes, but the game is not designed for you to go straight to Ganon. Only the skilled players will actually be able to do that and win, because you have to get leveled up. The game is not designed around that. And just because Breath of the Wild allows you to do that and it's a long game, doesn't mean Frontiers will be a long game too. That makes no sense. There's no correlation. On top of that, that was actually a selling point of the game. There were articles about this before the game came out saying, hey, you can go to Ganon. The producer of the game in 2016 said, while it's not the best or most natural way to do it, you can go straight to Ganon. They weren't saying, hey, the game is going to take a minimum of 20 hours. So I don't know why they keep mentioning the fact that Breath of the Wild was designed in a way that you could go straight to the final boss. Sonic Frontiers, however, is not designed like that. They never once said with Sonic Frontiers, you can skip straight to the final boss. In fact, there's a cutscene, which has leaked, and I think it was even in one of the trailers, where Sonic goes to the Titan, tries to fight the Titan smacks Sonic down and says, you can't beat me, and Sonic goes, huh, I I guess I have to be Supersonic, which means I have to go and collect all the 7 emeralds, which means additional collectibles. Other things need to be done to get those emeralds before I can actually beat the Titan. There's no, if you're truly skilled, you can beat the Titan with regular Sonic and not Supersonic. It is mandatory to collect those emeralds. They are forcing you. Therefore, the length is forced. It's not like Ganon, where if you really are skilled and you know what you're doing and you strategize, you can go straight to Ganon. Frontiers has walls put in place, like most games. I'm not trying to diss the game for this, but it has walls put in place to make sure you have to do a certain amount of shit to actually get to the Titan as Supersonic and win. So it's not like you're just able to skip everything. There is a mandatory amount of shit that you will have to do to beat the first island in under 35 minutes. This is a person who beat it without glitches or exploits. If we add glitches or exploits and you do some crazy exploit to get the emeralds quicker, that's different. We're talking about someone who followed all the main procedures. So if doing all the main procedures can be done in under 35 minutes, that is pretty short, right? Let's keep going. I got more points. Kishimoto, once again, the director of the game, hates difficulty. So with Breath of the Wild, the game is actually tougher than Sonic Frontiers, right? I've played Sonic Frontiers only a little bit. I played the demo twice, but even from that little experience, compared to the amount of hours I played of Breath of the Wild, and believe me, I haven't even finished Breath of the Wild. I played it for several hours. At some point, I may go back to it, but right now, I'm not going back to it. So if you think I'm some Breath of the Wild fanboy, no, that's not the case here. I'm not here to defend Breath of the Wild. I don't play Zelda like that. I kind of just bought it because of the hype and I had the money at the time. I was like, fuck it, let's give it a go. But the point is, Breath of the Wild was harder. The shrines actually made me think a little bit more. Even at the beginning of the game, enemies at the beginning actually challenged me. Now you could say, well, you're a Sonic fan, so obviously you were going to be better at Sonic. But I don't think that's the case here, because when I went to the enemies in Sonic Frontiers when I played the demo, all I had to do was spam the attack button on the hardest difficulty. And if I didn't pay attention to the attacks, I could run and re-grab my rings pretty easily because they wouldn't rush at me with their attacks. I could just leave the area where the attacks were happening and grab my rings. Now, admittedly, I knew that you could light dash with L3, which the game apparently didn't say in game until after I'd done a certain amount of stuff. But because people had done it before, I was able to use that information to light dash my rings and make it even easier. But even without that, it was still easy. And if that doesn't convince you that Breath of the Wild is the harder game than Sonic Frontiers, Kishimoto went on record to say the game will not increase in difficulty. And I covered this ages ago, but people don't pay attention. Kishimoto added that instead of an increase in difficulty, Sonic Team has found new ways to challenge the player, so Sonic Frontiers won't be an experience that players will find too easy either, okay? Some of the puzzles are brain teasers, while others test your action techniques or play out as a minigame, Kishimoto explained. Kishimoto assured us that the game's main focus remains on Sonic's exhilarating sense of speed, which is why tackling these puzzles is mostly optional. Focus on that optional for a second. That being said, we've included ways for players to get hooked by the puzzles, so please look forward to that. So they just said that they made the game easier, and these puzzles, which are supposedly brain teasers, are mostly optional. Oh, we're not done. This is another thing that Kishimoto said. In previous Sonic titles, we had to gradually make the stages more difficult in order to reach an amount of playtime that would satisfy players. It is natural for level-based platformers to become more difficult as you progress. However, for Sonic games, the problem has always been that the higher difficulty could get in the way of the game's sense of speed. In Sonic Frontiers, the open zone offers a lot of content already, so raising the difficulty in order to increase the playtime was no longer necessary. From start to finish, we were able to maintain a sense of speed with ideal level design for a Sonic game. So again, they have confirmed the game does not increase in difficulty, which means that whatever time is being spent in the first island could be similar for later islands, right? That's why I made that calculation in my previous video. That's not a confirmation that it will take the same time for all the later islands, because again, the islands could be bigger in size. But even if the later islands are bigger, they're clearly not going to be tougher. And a lot of length in games comes from challenge, comes from failing things and having to retry. And with that taken out of the game, compared to a more challenging game like Breath of the Wild, you are going to be beating Frontiers quicker even on your first playthrough. Even with 3 difficulties, it doesn't really make a difference because those are just for combat. And again, I had more trouble with combat in Breath of the Wild in the first hour than I did playing on the hard difficulty of Sonic Frontiers. And before you go, well, maybe it will get harder, again, Kishimoto just said it wouldn't. The problem here that I was addressing was false advertising. Nobody is telling you to skip all the side content, but Kishimoto said it should take the average player between 20 and 30 hours to finish the game. as in get to the end without any form of glitch or exploit. Main content, not side, main. Basically the bare minimum to get to the end should take between 20 and 30 hours, while completionists can easily spend double the time to see everything, which means if you wanted to do all the side content, you're looking at 40 to 60 hours. So that means we should be expecting bare minimum 20 hours just to get to the end if we don't do any extra shit. If we just do the main shit, skip anything bonus, then we should be in there for about 20 hours. This is a numerical claim. There's a mathematical number involved here, so we're allowed to contest that based on information we've been given. If someone is doing a casual speed run, not using glitches or exploits, and beating the first island in 35 minutes in a game that has 5 islands and supposedly no increase in difficulty, it is fair to question whether it is going to take 20 hours to beat the game. Again, 35 minutes times 5 is just under 3 hours. I can multiply that by 6. You get 18 hours. Even if you were 6 times slower than that supposed casual speedrun, 6 times slower, you would still not hit the 20-hour quota. This is main content. Don't say, well, I want to do side content, because the side content number is 40 to 60 hours and it's a completely separate argument. Even if you go, the person who spent under 35 minutes beating the first island must have skipped cutscenes. Typically, Sonic games have not surpassed 2.5 hours of cutscene length. So if we take that 3 hours that it would have taken at 35 minutes an island, multiply that by 6 to get to 18 hours, then you add about 2.5 hours, you're now scraping 20.5 hours. And that's at 6 times slower. 6 times slower than the casual speedrun that involves no glitches or exploits. If I make it 5 times slower and add the cutscene 2.5 hours, which is being generous, because again, 2.5 hours is a lot for Sonic cutscenes in a game, you'd be under the 20-hour mark with 17.5 hours. So that means assuming a similar island length to the first island, you would have to go 5 times slower than this person who took less than 35 minutes to beat the first island and watch all the cutscenes while just doing the main content and still not hit the 20 to 30 hour estimate. We don't know how much shit is in the game total. I'm talking about main content. 20 to 30 hours was the claim for getting to the end. We are questioning that number with basic math. A game that does not increase in difficulty, the only thing they could do to make those other islands take significantly longer than the first island is if those other islands are significantly bigger. That's it. But we are within our right to question these length claims. I can't say for sure that I'm right in that the main game will take less than 20 to 30 hours, even though I'm pretty sure of it personally, but I can't definitively say that until I play the game. But based on the information we've been given, I'm definitely within my right to question this. Okay, there's enough red flags that I can be like, are we sure about this number? Bringing up Breath of the Wild does nothing here because again, they did not sell the game on length. You can check, go through the articles, go through the build up of this game. They never said it will take you around this to that amount of hours to beat the game. They never put a numerical value on it. Do you know why? Because it's stupid, because it can be contested, right? As we are contesting the Frontiers one right now. Go back to Breath of the Wild. Guess what they were promoting? The map size. Go back to 2016. Says here, full Zelda Breath of the Wild map revealed roughly 360 square kilometers. You see, with that, as long as it really is 360 square kilometers, based on the scale of the character and, you know, Link is a human, no one can say you were lying. If it really is 360 square kilometers, when you bring in hours, you have to know based on the way your game has been designed that people aren't just gonna cheese it easily, right? We've already established that Frontiers is pretty easy to cheese in a lot of areas. I mean, people are using side loops to get collectibles, using side loops to get rings to get power boost, using light speed dash to cheese combat. The game is easy, and on top of that, Sonic is fucking Sonic, which means he's fast. Even with a map size twice as big as Breath of the Wild, Sonic's game would still be over quicker because of the boost. Not to mention the power boost. He'd have to have a map size that's significantly larger than Breath of the Wild's map size to even contest the length of Breath of the Wild. Right now, if you go to howlongtobeat.com, which is the most popular website for checking the length of games, it asks players what they think the length of the game is. Breath of the Wild is currently sitting at average of 50 hours, leisure 70 hours, median 50, and rushed 28 hours. That's main story. If you add extras, those numbers obviously go up. The rushed number is 28 hours. That is rushed. Remember, that's not even including speedruns. Speedruns is a whole other level of much lower than this. We're just talking regular players going fast, okay? Kishimoto's claim was 20 to 30, and clearly he was embellishing, if you can't see that already. So I don't see why Breath of the Wild was being used as a comparison to Defense Sonic Frontiers. And quite frankly, I don't know where they got that number of hours from. Again, they must have assumed that people were just going to do additional shit. but they said to finish the main game 20 to 30. What they should have said is maybe up to 30 hours to finish the main game, because then you could go, well, it's up to, it could be anything lower than that. The moment you said 20 to 30, you put a minimum on there, okay? It's like some roads in the UK have minimum speed limits. Like usually you hear of maximum, which means you go above that, you get in trouble. But you could technically go really slow, and yes, you could get in trouble for that, but it's not illegal technically. But once they put a minimum speed limit there, there's a bare minimum. All I am saying is that if I get this game and on my first playthrough, I am able to get to the end in under 20 hours without any kind of glitch or exploit, then we can say it was disingenuous, right? That they embellished the number to try and sell the game. And I mean, to be fair, I'm not going to just go from main mission to main mission. I do want to do some side shit. If I think it's fun, then I'll do more side shit. If the side shit isn't as fun, then I'll probably skip it. It depends once I get the full game. I would love to be wrong here, but honestly, in terms of getting to the end, I don't think Frontiers is going to be 20 to 30 hours for the average player, or at least not for the average Sonic fan. I know Kishimoto's trying to get Sonic to be won over in Japan. I don't know what these Japanese focus tests were doing, if they were playing like complete trash and didn't know how to boost or something, but where I come from, I don't think it's gonna be a 30-hour experience for the main game. Again, I don't know how much shit is in the game total. I'm just saying regular progression. This game has not showed a single ounce of serious challenge yet, and I don't think it's going to. That doesn't mean the game will be bad because it's easy. I mean, Super Mario Odyssey was easy as fuck, but that was still a great game. Now, I don't think Frontier is going to be Odyssey. I'm just saying, like, easy doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad game. I prefer challenge, and I believe that Odyssey had a higher skill ceiling than Frontiers, but maybe Frontiers will prove itself with the skill ceiling later on. But it definitely has a low skill floor. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. How long do you think Sonic Frontiers will end up being? Shout out to the people who aren't going to watch the full video and just post some clip of the video out of context to try and score some likes on the Bird app. Probably just the title and thumbnail screenshot, let's be honest. Again, this is not about hating Frontiers. I'm just questioning potential false advertising. It's got nothing to do about whether the game will be fun or not. You can put the pitchforks down, okay? Seriously. And of course, a big shout out to all my channel members. If you want to become a channel member, you can click the join button next to the subscribe button. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Make sure to check out the non-Sonic channel. The link will be in the description. But that's all I have to say right now. So, Remy out.